What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the rePORTER Show, man. This week, we got some good things going on. I would say this is a pretty good week of sports. Volleyball swept their week, going 2-0. They probably would have went 3-0 if it wasn't for that cancellation early on in the week. I don't know how that happened.
I mean, how does that happen?
I don't know how that happened. I guess the referees, it's whatever.
Yeah, SAC conference. That should never happen in a conference.
For real, though. Men's soccer swept their week. Women's soccer, yeah. And then we had
Come on.
Then we had men's golf. They did their thing, but we're gonna get into all this stuff. We're gonna start it off with volleyball, though. Like I said, they had a cancellation early in the week against OPSU, which sort of sucks because conference-wise, you know, that's another win in the books. You know what I'm saying? But it didn't matter because they handled their business the rest of this week. Versus Southwestern Christian. This was another OPSU Southwest team that we should handle, in which we did. In set one, we won 25-23. As you can see there, it was somewhat of a tight set. It was a tight set because they were hitting through our blocks a little bit here and there, a little miscommunication, and these were just some of the things that led it to being a much closer set than expected, especially with the offensive side of things. We had 19 kills with a .366 hitting percentage. That sounds like a domination to me, but it wasn't. You know what I'm saying? So that was a surprise, but we did get the win, so that's all that matters. Set two looked like what set one should have looked like. It was 25-9. We dominated, but more so because of Southwestern's lack of performance. They had a negative .154 hitting percentage, and you don't got to do much to outperform that. No. You know what I'm saying? If you can,
they beat themselves.
Yeah, they beat themselves.
They beat themselves at that point.
They basically beat themselves, and so of course that's why the score looked like it did. In set three, we ended up winning this one 25-20. It was another set with a strong attack, 14 kills and a .286 hitting percentage, and still working through some things to get from a good performance to a dominant performance. You know, there's the difference between a team that's going to be good and a team that's going to be exceptional. You know, and there's just little things that you have to fix up to make sure that you get to that point. Fade had 13 kills. Let me tell you about this one. She had a 706 hitting percentage. A 706 hitting percentage. She only, I think she was like 13 for 15 and 1 error or something like that. Oof. Yeah, unstoppable.
Out the handling business.
Yeah, unstoppable, really. She added 3 blocks and 2 aces as well. Emmy had 39 assists and added 7 digs, and Michaela had 17 digs. So now we're going into this matchup against Oklahoma City with a 4-game win streak. Probably would have been 5 if it was not for the OPSU getting canceled. And we were tied with Oklahoma City in the conference at 10-4, both of us. We did have the better overall record, but we were tied in conference at 10-4, like I said. So this was going to be a matchup that we needed to win, and I guess we're about to find out what happened there. Set one, we ended up losing this one 25-22. This was a pretty even match on both sides. Both teams had 11 kills and just about the same errors and same attempts. So the stats reflected the score basically pretty well, and we just didn't come out on top at the end of this one. Set two, we lost this one, 25-21. OKC jumped out to a good lead early on, but honestly, they started making a lot of hitting, attack errors, service errors. They were just pretty much allowing us to get back into the game. So we did get back into the game, but even though they racked up errors, we racked up errors as well. And of course, if you're already struggling and you adding errors on top of that, it's not going to help your game. It's not going to help your game. And so we had 7 errors and 7 kills. So you know what that means. We had a 0 hitting percentage. So you got a 0 hitting percentage. You probably ain't going to win a lot of sets. So we ended up dropping set 2. Set 3. Story of this one. We finally put Valentina in the game. I'm gonna get into that discussion after I get done with this, but I would love to talk about why we not seeing what I'm expecting to see. We finally put Valentina in this one early in the third set. She didn't even start the third set, but she finally got put in the third set. This set was much like the others. It was tight most of the way, but we got to a point where it was 22-18 OKC, and we found some grit at the end of this one. It started off right here with a beautiful tip set to Fade. She kills it. They couldn't even have time to react to it. Then we had 2 huge back-to-back double blocks by Fade and Carly, I believe that was, and that fueled us a lot. And then, of course, Fade again being set over the middle, and that was just really the end of the match after that one. And so we won that set 25-22. So now we're down 2 sets to 1. We go into set 4. OKC had some rough play early on in this one that helped us get out to a good lead. And honestly, they weren't going to come back after that. We started finding ourselves again. Our rhythm looked good. We were executing on all our plays. Our defense looked good. And so I think, like I said, this was honestly a really good win, a good, strong win in this set. We won 25-18. We had a lot of kills and minimal errors. I think we only had 2 or 3 errors, maybe 4, but that was at the most. So we come back down 2-0, fight back to a 2-2 tie match. Going into the 5th set, you always want to be the first to 8. That's going to give you that momentum. Some great defense in this one. Selma had some big digs. We were present at the net with some timely blocks. Alyssa showed up big. I know we don't talk about Alyssa a lot, but mainly because when we do the breakdown of things, we always go with stat leaders. But Alyssa is a big part of this team. And honestly, you wouldn't think that from the position that she plays. She's an outside hitter. She's not your typical outside hitter. You know, outside hitters, they either really big or they really tall or they both. And she's just a shorter stature girl, but she got the bunnies, and she getting the job done. So shout out to you, Alyssa, doing some big things out there on the court. But this was also still a neck-and-neck match, even though we were the first to 8. But let's check out the last 2 points of this one, because it went past 15 points.
Ball is served over. It's going to be set outside to Sutai. Hit down the line for a kill. Ball is served over. Free ball over to the Pioneers. Set to Ogambade. Stars do pass it up. It's going to go outside to Sutai. Hit down the line for a kill. Pioneers.
So, as you can see there, we pulled out the win. We pulled out the comeback from being down 2-0. Big kills from Selma to end the game there. Back-to-back kills, I think. And so, everybody stepped up in this one. You know, when you go down 2-0, it's really hard to mentally stay checked in. You get what I'm saying? It's really hard because when you get down 2-0, especially when you know you're not playing at your best, it's like, do we really want to put in the effort to do all this work?
It's easy to turn on each other.
I think this is one of those moments where I don't know if it was coach or a player, but somebody had to rally the troops together and get everybody to truly lock in and get the job done. And as we could see, they went at it, they attacked it despite the fact that they were down. And I think that they capitalized on a lot of the mistakes that we've talked about in previous weeks against sorrier teams that we said needed to be cleaned up, needed to be almost perfected against better teams. And being tied with the team, so much on the line in this game, I feel like we came through when it mattered most.
I do too, yeah. I'd say this is a big, some people call it a culture win, a high character win. This is just one of those wins where, you know, you really find out who a team is and who some players are when the chips are down. You know, when you're down 0-2, it's like, okay, now what are you going to do with your back against the wall at home against a team that you really need to beat? And so, like you said, I think they definitely rallied together and really showed their character because last year or years have passed, honestly, I think we would have dropped this one 0-3. Yeah. But we came back, battled back, and then ended up winning the 5th set, especially being tied 15 all at the 5th set. It's like, man, you can't get a better situation at home with the fans. Exactly. That's a perfectly ideal situation for us, and we took advantage of it. So you got to give them credit for that.
I think they came up big when pressure was on. Pressure makes diamonds. You know what I'm saying? And I think we shined in that moment.
We did.
Yeah, I want to get into these stats because I want to talk about this game, man. They had 12 kills, and of course another crazy hitting percentage with 423, and she added 4 blocks as well. Claudia had 4 blocks as well, added 4 aces, and Valentina had 25 assists. Selma had 22 digs, added 9 kills, 1 ace, and 2 assists. So a big game from Selma as well. The conversation I want to have here though is there was no Valentina until a little ways into the 3rd set. And then things started to change. Now, I want to say this. I'm not going to take anything away from the setter that we have in the game when Valentina isn't in the game. Emmy does a great job. She does a great job. She always racks up the assists. She handles her business when she's out there on the court. Not taking anything away from her. But what I want to say is when Valentina is in the game, there is a difference in how this team moves.
There's a different presence.
It is. They got rhythm. They got flow. And a lot of things happen that just point to, okay, she's a big part of your offense and your defense. Your whole team.
Is there a reason she's not playing?
That's what I'm trying to, that's what the conversation, because my thing is, she dresses out
Yeah.
in almost all of these games. I know there was a point in time where she was injured, but there was games previous to this game that she played in. But then she sat again, and then she sat again. And I'm just wondering to myself, listen, I know that I'm a spectator, and I don't know the ins and outs of volleyball, but what I do know is when you put this girl in the game,
Stats don't lie.
the stats don't lie.
At all.
We tend to win.
And honestly, I'm glad we got into the conversation because, you know, the training room is like, nowadays like the barbershop. You hear everything in the training room. You hear, you know what I'm saying? We're always in there just talking trash, messing around. But I do want to say, and I'm going to call them out, but they're my friends. Emmy and Jordan both was kind of like, a couple weeks ago, they were like, yo, why y'all hating on us whenever y'all talking about Valentina being out? So they kind of felt a little bit disrespected, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
I'm gonna back Emmy on this one, not to diss Valentina. Obviously,
Yeah.
there's no competition.
No,
you know what
there's
I'm
not,
saying?
'cause you're on the team. You're on
they're
the
on
same
the team
team.
together. They're two of the
Yeah.
best players in the conference. So
Yeah.
there's no competition by any means. But I will back her on this. Not even really backing her as much as backing Yakamazi, as if to say, whatever he's doing, while we might not understand it, we might not understand why Valentina's waiting to be subbed in so long, or whatever the case may be. We are on a 4 or 5 game, should be a 5-game winning streak. And so whatever he's doing, it is working. Now, being down 0-2 and then putting her in, and obviously good things happen after that, that can be credit to her. Obviously, she did her job, but that's not to say Emmy didn't do her job while she was in. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes, like exactly like you said, and you gave her credit. But sometimes teams just rally back when they're down 0-2. Like, so it was all of us. But you know, it almost seems like it's like a fake competition between the two. But I really think it's just a difference in coaching style depending on who we're playing. Like maybe he wants more defense for this start of the game or more offense. You know, but it's working. Whatever it's doing, it's working.
It's working.
Realistically, like, I mean, iron sharpens iron. They're out there competing against each other and making each other better. So in the long run, I think it's great to have 2 weapons at the same position on the same team.
3, really.
Like, yes, 3, like you're stacked in the depth chart at that position. And so I feel like there's no necessarily wrong answer when it comes to that.
Exactly.
But depending on situation,
It's, and this, but the thing is though, and I'm gonna keep it a buck and then we're gonna move on because I know we got other things to cover. But let's think about it from this perspective. Let's say you got Hank Aaron, right? Jackie Robinson, and then you got Barry Bonds. All right. All 3 of them dogs, right? In the game. But I guarantee you, if you ask somebody, hey, which one of these players would you want in the game? 2 outs, they got 2 strikes on them, and you need them to hit a home run to win the game. I guarantee you, they're probably gonna say Barry Bonds, right? This is the thing. All of them are great players. But at the end of the day, when you have an it factor on your team, you probably should go with the it factor. True. And that's all I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna take nothing away from the other girls because y'all are all great.
I agree. And I'm gonna say one last thing
Go ahead.
before we move on. I understand what it's like because a lot of, I'm gonna relate it to basketball, but it's the same principle. In the fourth quarter, a lot of times, especially like in the last minute or 30 seconds, coach would sub me and Q out offensively and defensively. Obviously, Q can shoot from the parking lot, so you want him in offensively. I mean, he can shoot from wherever. That being said, he's a smaller guy, he's a lighter guy, so coach would literally every possession sub me in defensively. So, you know, there's a lot of things coaches do, and I know volleyball subbing doesn't work that exact way, but just along the same lines of, you know, they both have different strengths, and I think Yakamazi is trying to utilize both of their strengths.
Absolutely. I agree with that. Let's take this one on to men's soccer. Men's soccer had a matchup against USAO. This was a game that I expected to win, but not in the form and fashion that we did. We had some very aggressive play from both sides, and the ref was honestly holding off of that whistle. So that makes for some interesting soccer, some aggressive play. And what I will say, though, is that we did not miss on opportunities. I know that we talked about in previous games where we had opportunities that we didn't capitalize on. This was a very different story. We did not miss on opportunities. After Jamal's penalty kick, there were 3 defenders that were standing right in front of the goalie, so pick your poison. Everybody's going to score. And then right after that, Rashawn had some nice footwork over here on the side that led to a great pass to Francis, who finished off with a goal to make it 2-0. He had a nice little message for the fans right here. I belong to Jesus. I love that one. Then we had another great pass from Francis to Jamal. 1 pass, 1 bounce, scored the goal. So offense was firing on all cylinders in the first half, clearly. We scored 3 quick goals in that first half, but that second half was a little bit different. What I will say, though, is that the Drovers only had 1 shot on goal in that first half. So when you dominate like that in the first half, even if you don't come out and play to that same caliber in the second half, you've put yourself so far ahead that you make it hard for a team to bounce back, even if you don't have your best half. Second half was pretty dry for both teams. Like I said, we had a total of 3 shots on goal. So both teams only totaled up to 3 shots on goal. So very dry second half. So that explosive first half was all there was to this one. Some stats from this one: Val, Jamal, and Francis all had 1 goal apiece. So now we go into the matchup against OPSU. Now this was a matchup where I'm thinking, okay, 5-0, 6-0. They're not that great of a team. But this was a very surprising, dry match offensively. In the first half, there was only 1 shot on goal from both teams until Jamal scored on a penalty kick. So they pretty much put themselves in a bad position. If you're going to foul somebody in the box, you already know we're going to put Jamal up there and he's going to kick it right in. So that was on y'all, OPSU. Y'all gave us a free one right there. So that second half was a bit more active, but not much. We only put 1 shot on goal to their 3. But the big difference was we cashed in on our 1 shot on goal, and we made this one 2-0. Dario was able to finish off an assist from Masi, like I said, to make it 2-0, and we won this one 2-0. So we had a really good week from soccer. Men's winning both of their matches, putting themselves in a really good position. I think they are 3-1-2 in conference. So let's see where they stack up against the rest of the rankings here. We are in 4th, so that ain't bad.
No.
I think the preseason rankings, we were 7th or 6th, one or the other. But whatever it was, we're better than where they anticipated us being, and which I always love to say that.
True.
Going into women's soccer, they had a matchup against the 23rd ranked team in the nation, USAO. So, of course, y'all probably know how this one was going to go down. We ended up losing this one 5-1. But what I will say is we had some early offense, which has been a new normal for us, scoring immediately into the game. I think it was in like the first 10 to 15 seconds we scored the first goal, and I was like, my goodness, what's going on? But the rest of the game was a little bit different. USA controlled the rest of this one, putting 14 shots on goal and scoring 5. Versus OPSU. This was also a different story, but not in a good way. We led the shots on goal category, right? So that's a plus. We normally don't lead the shots on goal category, 6-3. That second half, they didn't get any shots off at all. So if you look at the stats, you probably think we won the game.
We had a dominant performance.
We didn't. We lost 2-0. I don't know how. Like I always say to y'all, man, I try to watch every single game I do. But some games I just can't get to. You know, I can't watch every single game that happens every week. I wasn't able to watch this one in particular, so I would love to wish I had time to go watch it because I would love to understand why the stats look like this, but they don't look like
reflect on the scoreboard.
Yeah, they don't reflect on the scoreboard. So I would love to know why that was the case. But we did not come out on top of this one, and so yeah.
I mean, on the women's side, it's just like, man, well, what's new? 0-2. You're just playing for pride at this point. Maybe make a run at the conference tournament, but I don't know if that's out the picture or not yet. But on the men's side, it's good to see that we're starting to get our stride back. Obviously, Jamal's been back for a couple weeks, so he's definitely still in midseason shape and form. But, you know, the top quadrant, that's exactly where you want to be. So I think we have a couple more weeks to maybe take a couple steps up to get second or potentially first if it's still a chance. But I think the men's soccer has kind of turned it around because there was a couple weeks there where they were a little bit shaky. So that's good on the men's side.
Getting what we kind of expected out of them. But I do want to say this, like on the men's soccer side of things, it looked like a all-around performance, and especially in that first game, it was, like you said, a very dominant first half in that game. And defensively, like I mean, I know stats aren't really gonna show, but when you're only allowing 1 shot on goal, you can tell like you had your foot on their neck and wasn't letting up for sure.
Yeah, and that's really big for us. We're going to take this one on to men's and women's golf. Well, I guess I'll say men's golf first. We're going to go with men's golf first. They were at the Chicken Express Classic. That Chicken Classic, man. As per usual, after round 1, we found ourselves in first place after shooting a team score of 274, which was 10 under par as a team. Ben had himself a great first round, shooting a 66, which was 5 under par. Nino and Leonard weren't far behind, both shooting 3 under par. Round 2 wasn't as great as the first, but Still a good round as a team. We shot a score of 276, 8 under par. Almost a snapshot of round 1. Ben shot 5 under par. Nino and Leonard both shooting 2 under par. Round 3, we had a great round, shooting our lowest score of the tourney, 268, 16 under par. But UT Dallas, they must have took something for that last round, because them boys shot a 263, which was 21 under par, which found their way in the first place at the end of the tournament. So we ended up placing second in this one because of a crazy last round by UT Dallas. But what I want to talk about is Ben led the way, shooting a score of 62. 9 under par, new school record for lowest round. A 62, 9 under par?
That is insane. For those of y'all who don't know much about golf, that is equivalent to like a 60-point game in basketball.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
like
something insane. Like, that is insane.
Yeah, bro.
He put a Kobe 81-point game, bro. Like,
I mean, he was just hitting the cover off the ball,
bro.
evidently, man. 62 in his own backyard in front of his fans, man. There's something to be said about that.
And I think that's what might have led to it. When you playing at home, I mean, there's not a lot of opportunities where you get to play on the golf course that you train at. And so that boy, my goodness.
he knew what he was there to do.
Yeah.
He had it all planned out, everything. I don't know if he had, you know what I'm saying, something somewhere, bro. But
Somebody made him mad.
That boy had
Yeah, what do y'all made him mad?
62 is crazy.
He had that Space Jam, Michael Ziegler. Yes, bro.
That's got to be the best anybody has ever shot at that course, too. Like, not only Wayland, but
Yeah, I would love to know
surely
that.
nobody has ever beat a 62 at that course.
I have no clue, but
I
of
mean, I
course.
got close one time, though. I mean,
We're not paying attention to this man no more.
He shot a
Because he out here
162.
talking crazy. That's crazy.
nah.
Listen, but he placed first overall individually, of course. Nino finally separated himself from his own teammate Leonard by shooting a score of 68, which was 3 under par, and finished tied for 4th overall. And then Leonard shot a score of 69, which was 2 under par, and finished tied for 6th overall. So as a team, we finished second. So this wasn't a bad tournament. I think we've had maybe 2 to 3 tournaments where we finished first. This tournament we finished second. And the other tournament where we just had, that mishap in round 3 that we didn't place very well. But now they are at the NCCAA National Championships. Hopefully they handling business through Wednesday.
Handle business, bring the brooms
bring
out.
it back.
Too.
Yeah, you got to bring it back.
They got to have a chip on the shoulder because everybody else want to dethrone them.
Yeah,
So.
exactly, man. On the women's side, reminder, not enough members to rank as a team, so they only can rank individually. Marissa Armendariz placed second overall with scores of 77, 77, and 78, finishing 19 over par. Ellen Lanergan placed third overall with scores of 83, 78, and 80, which was 28 over par. And then Juanita, I'm sorry if I butcher this, Villafane, I would say. How would you say that? Villafane?
I say Villafane. That probably sounds. We'll get with her and ask.
I'm sorry, Juanita.
Yeah.
I know your first name is Juanita, so I'm going to say that one correctly. She placed 6th overall with scores of 79, 85, and 82, which is 33 over par. So still building up that the young women's team there. Hopefully in the spring they can actually start competing as a team. Hopefully they get some more members by the springtime. Let's talk about the upcoming games, and then we're going to talk about certified nominees really quickly. Tuesday, like I said, men's golf is starting at the NCCAA National Championships through Wednesday. Well, they started today, but y'all ain't seen it. So through Wednesday, they're going to be competing. Thursday, soccer, both men's and women's has a home matchup against John Brown. For the women's side, they start at 5, and they're facing off against the 19th ranked team in the nation, John Brown. And then the men's team starts at 7:30, which they're facing off against a receiving votes, John Brown, who is also ranked 2 places ahead of them in conference. So this would be a big win if we were able to pull this one off. Friday, wrestling has their first home matchup against Trinidad State. Supposedly, they're going to get the wrestling match out at the soccer field. So it's going to be an outdoor wrestling match. I don't know how they're going to do that. I mean, I've seen outdoor events. You know how, like, when they do volleyball games at football stadiums and they put, like, the little – so I'm guessing it's going to be a scenario like that, which is going to be pretty cool. So y'all ain't never seen a wrestling match, and if you ain't never seen a wrestling match outside,
you definitely
I would say show up.
Outside,
I would say show up. Now, we don't have a time for that one yet, so I'm sorry that I can't fill you in on that, but they do not have a time for that yet. But hopefully sometime later this week they can update it before the actual day of the event. Men's basketball, home opener. Season opener, ain't it? Home opener and season opener against Our Lady of the Lake at 6 on Friday. So I don't even really have to tell y'all to show up for that because y'all love going to basketball games. Y'all like putting on y'all little fits, you know, whatever. Yeah, man. So
Everybody be putting on their best.
yeah, y'all be putting on y'all best fits. Like they trying to pay attention to y'all. They out there hooping, man. Just show up to the games. I don't care if you're coming in sweats or if you're coming in a suit. It don't matter. Show up to the game. All right, volleyball is away this week. They starting off that strong schedule against Texas Wesleyan, who is second in the conference. Saturday soccer has a matchup against Texas Wesleyan. Women at 11, men at 1:30. And then football has a matchup against Texas Wesleyan at 4. All of these are home events. So it's Wayland versus Texas Wesleyan this weekend. So y'all better go crazy, all right? Then we got volleyball at number 22, Nelson. So they got 2 away games, 2 really tough matchups. Exactly. And then women's basketball will be away this weekend as well at South Plains, which I believe is an exhibition match. I would assume, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And so there's all of that. So I think there are 1, 2, 3, 4 matchups this week against Texas Wesleyan. Listen, if we don't win the week, I'm sad. But if we don't win the week against Texas Wesleyan, all right, I'm going to be upset. I might not even do the show. I'm just playing. But we got to win that one, man. Now let's get into this conversation about the certified nominees. My 2 votes, it's either going to be between Fade or Ben.
Fade is number love to you, bro, but Ben. It's Ben.
A 706 hitting percentage, though?
Nah, that's OD. That's insane.
Come on now, that's not heard of.
That's insane, but neither's a 62. That's unheard of, too.
62.
Both
bro.
unheard of things.
Yeah, 2 unheard of things.
But
I'm
listen,
gonna go Ben.
okay, now we talking, I need to have the conversation. Fade, 2 wins, 706 and a 486. 486 is still a really good hitting percentage. Typically, it's like 200, maybe 300. Then you got Ben breaking school records, dropping a 62, but placing second. It's a good conversation to have.
As a team, he played second. Didn't he play?
As a team, yeah. We're talking about as a team. I mean, he plays first individually.
Yeah.
You're right. He plays first individually.
Man, you shoot a 62, I don't care what you're playing, mini golf, real golf. A 62, you win first, you're the certified player of the week. Maybe even of the semester, because that's insane.
I don't think people can do a 62 on the PGA video game, bro. Like, he put in a video game stat.
Okay, we're gonna go with that.
I know Fade, you're gonna forgive me. I hope you forgive me. But yeah, I gotta give it to Ben, bro.
All right.
I just do that. 62 is beyond impressive.
Well, there's your answer, folks. Benjamin Luca, you are our certified player of the week. Congrats to you for breaking records. Fade, you were a notable opponent here after 2 great opportunities there. We don't have a lot of time left, but I do want to talk really quickly about some of these preseason rankings. Women's basketball preseason ranked 1st in the conference. Men's basketball preseason ranked 4th in the conference. And then wrestling had some preseason rankings nationally. I think we had 3. I'm sorry, I got to pull up my phone. I know that's unprofessional, but I got to look at it because I think men's wrestling had 3 guys placed nationally.
It was, Emmett.
So you got Alexander, who is ranked 8th at 149 nationally. John Bray, who is ranked 21st nationally at 197. And if I'm not mistaken, no, he's not a freshman. He's a transfer. And then Emmett Bivens, who is ranked 19th at 285. So we got 3 guys ranked nationally. Preseason rankings look good for winter sports, so I look forward to some really good things. But that's all we got for y'all this week, man. Hopefully next week we got some great information about us beating Texas Wesleyan as a school and us beating the week as a school. So, absolutely. We better sweep Texas West this week. We'll see y'all same time next week.